I love Power Automate, but you know what I love more? Writing code quickly, having the code write itself, and when I need changes, I can do it in just a few words. It's all done for me. What I'm talking about, Azure Functions. And no, these aren't your grandmother's Azure Functions. This is Azure Functions with connector namespaces. That means everything that's awesome about Power Automate is now part of Azure Functions. I'm Sean, a trainer at Untethered 365, and stick around because I see this as the future of automations in Power Platform. Our model-driven app, we're storing courses. For instance, one of our courses is Real-World Copilot Studio. If you were to buy this course, you get a year of access, and after 1 year, we need this to expire. So on this form, I need to store the ability that courses expire. So Real World Copilot Studio, we're going to say you have 365 days of access when you get it. And I want to auto-populate access expires on. So take the value from here and then add that many days from today's date. Now I could solve this in Power Automate or even custom workflows. I'm not going to use Power Automate because although it's great, I want it to write and fix the code for me as fast as possible. So we're going to use Azure Functions. And yes, I just released a video on the Power Automate MCP server. So if AI can help you write Power Automate and Azure Functions, ask yourself, what is AI better trained at? Python and JavaScript or Power Automate JSON? And if you don't know Python and JavaScript, don't worry, it's way easier than you think when we use agent skills. README an Azure function, so whenever a contact course record gets created, it goes and then adds that many dates to the expiration date of the course contact, starting from the day that the course contact record was created. Now let's look what happened because it's a little strange. You'll notice here it said Dataverse webhook, HTTP trigger, schedule polling. No. This was the old way of doing things before we got these awesome connectors. This is why it's important that you don't let Claude or GitHub Copilot run wild and make this for you. You need to tell it to use these specific Azure Function skills. So when I did that, I got a different result where it now uses the trigger. None of that polling. The trigger is course contact row created. Perfect. Dataverse get row. Awesome. Minus one thing, it's using the MCP server. I don't know why it's doing that. I'd rather it just use the connector. So let's clarify. Can't we update the row through the connector? Beautiful. Go build it. So far, there's no code in here yet. Oh, there it is. All right, just popped in. Here is our function app code. It's in Python. It's using that Dataverse connector. Now, if you've never seen Python or JavaScript, don't freak out. It's fairly understandable. For instance, step 1 is payload. Well, what does payload mean? Well, I could come over here and ask Claude, what does payload mean in line 35 in here? So that can help me. You have your own little tutor over here. Payload is a parsed body of record, blah, blah, blah. It'll give you the answer. The short version is in Power Automate, the information that comes in, this is the payload. And if you're still thinking, oh, I like Power Automate, I get nervous around pro code like this, don't worry, I got a really special message for you coming up. Next, what's it doing? It gets the payload, it gets the course ID, it checks to make sure it's not empty, it skips if the expiration date's already populated, it reads the course record, calculates the expiration date. Cool. And then we're done. All right, we have the code. What's the simplest way to test out how it works? Let's ask. What's the simplest way to test this worked? It said the easiest way to test is find the first course that has blah, blah, access days, create a contact. It's pretty much going through what I hoped, which is the web API. So it's going to make this request and see if everything else ran. And it is going to wait 15 seconds, make sure the Azure function runs, and then it's going to go do it. go deploy this code and then run the test when you're done. So first, I see it is provisioning everything. I'm going to go to portal.azure and go check in on it. Now in Azure, you want to be careful. For instance, if we hop in the function app, we'll see that it named our function app what? What is that? Okay, but it put it in this resource group. Look, now we're getting into things like managed identity, the most secure way to deploy stuff. We're getting into log analytics. All of this is really awesome, keeps your system super secure, but it can get really confusing. I don't have time to cover all of these pieces on this video, but that's why we have the crash courses. In the meantime, we can talk about one of my favorites right here. That's why I like to go into this spot, connectors.azure.com. I will put a URL to this below. So if you go to connectors.azure.com/login, you sign in. Now, what are these? Well, first of all, this UI is beautiful. Whoever built this, kudos to them. Let's click into one. Inside of here, you'll notice like, oh, connections, MCP connectors, Dataverse, authenticate. This is probably looking familiar. Yeah, it's just like connections and connection references in Power Automate. So I'm going to click authenticate, pops up just like Power Automate. Authentication complete. Boom, we're connected here. But oh, what else can it connect to besides Dataverse? Well, let's take a look at another one. In here, I got Outlook, I got SharePoint, I got MCP. Oh, there's a lot you can do here. I'm seeing this as like one of the best parts of Power Platform to Azure and one of my favorite ways to integrate with it, especially now. Now, Azure used to be this complex pro code far off thing from Power Platform, but with AI, they're coming a lot closer together, and using them together, you could do really powerful stuff like this. But let's go back to our code and see how it's doing. First, it wants to authorize the Dataverse connection. I already did that, but I'll just click the link and make sure. Then it says add the managed identity as a Dataverse application. Go to Power Platform Admin Center. No, we're in the age of AI. I'm going to say, can you do step 2 for me and go confirm if step 1 is done. Again, if you set up Azure Functions and you've done what I've told you in my other videos, like Claude end-to-end with Playwright and setting up the Dataverse MCP server, then VS Code should be a battle station for you to start to build everything. And that part passed, doing it all for me. And it's now deployed and verified and working, and it saved all the lessons learned here. So it is learning from itself. Your system will not do that. I've specifically built my super architect battle station to be self-learning. Again, we don't have time to go over that. But the proof is in the pudding when we actually test this. So Real World Copilot Studio has 365 days of access. So I'm going to click New. Let's do the Real World Copilot Studio course. We're going to assign it to Gordon, this one. And then I'm going to click Save. So at the time that I'm using these connector namespaces, they don't run as fast as Power Automate, not within the minute. But it's actually, as I said that, it just populated when I hit refresh. Okay, so that one ran in like 30 seconds. But I've noticed sometimes they can take up to 3 minutes. And if we go over here to our connector namespaces, we see the runs down here. So if we open this up and we hit refresh and we scroll down, there's the one that just ran here. Very similar to Power Automate flows. It says the duration, what have you. If you click the run ID, this just honestly looks super cool. You can click this to get the exact payload it had. Like there's our person's name and everything. And then if you click the Azure function, I don't even know what this does. I'm sure I can output something here. I can click on request, see the endpoint it went to. Now, some other helpful areas here is in the middle, it says status. If your function isn't firing, click here, you might have a failed status. I had that the first time when I set this up. And I have one more thing to show you that's fascinating. So in here, we obviously have this trigger. Let's pop back here into triggers. If I click create new one, and then I go in here and I type in Dataverse, you notice nothing appears here. But somehow I got this Dataverse one to go. How did that happen? Well, the reason I even know about this feature is because this awesome guy, Varad Maru, who's one of the tech leads on the Azure Functions team, and he showed me such cool features. I don't even have time to show them in this video. I'll show them in my next one. But he was amazing enough to connect me with the people who are working on the Dataverse connector. So I'll include the code to that because you're going to need to feed that to your AI for this to fully work. That's all in the description below. So although I could solve this problem right here with Power Automate, but now you might be thinking, oh, pro code, I'm kind of scared of that. I'm going to stick in Power Platform. I don't know what pro code is doing. Here's something I want you to think about. You don't know what low code is doing. When you drag and drop stuff on Canvas apps, when you move actions around in Power Automate, do you really know what's happening behind the scenes? No, none of us do. A lot of those are guarded secrets in Microsoft. I'm sure you've gotten a Power Automate error that you just couldn't explain. With Azure Functions, because you're so much closer to the actual code, you have AI that can help you. So on your next project, when you're dealing with the chess match of should you use Power Automate, should you use Azure Functions, ask yourself, how complex could this project be? What if I need 20,000 PDFs with a specific watermark? Or I need to take a bunch of video files and then compress them? Or I need 50,000 Dataverse records and I need to process them in memory? If so, Power Automate might be too slow. In that case, Azure Functions might be a better fit. Am I even allowed in Azure? In that case, obviously, it's Power Automate. Thanks for watching. Big thanks to Varad Maru, who introduced me to this whole world. Thank you to Monveer, David, Wagner, Victoria, all of you on the Azure Functions team. And be sure to subscribe because my next video on Azure Functions is nuts. Because Azure Functions can be serverless agents, which means right here I have a bunch of draft emails. I did not make these. I have an agent writing emails for me. This email right here was drafted based on instructions I gave. When I presented this at the European Power Platform Conference, people went nuts. Look out for that video coming soon.